What's going on, guys? Happy Monday night. Hope you all had a good day today. Um, Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the topic of superstition and mystical events that take place throughout the day. So, when I say mystical, you will probably get one of two responses, right? Either mystical means someone has a mind that is disturbed and needs to be medicated or made right, or mystic could be the name used about a psychic that does a tarot card reading for you. They're both, considered mystical, except one has a little bit of a stigma label to it, while the other one is just, well, hey, it's cool. I get my future read, right? So, what do we believe and what do we not believe? Are superstitions real? Do ghosts exist? Is there paranormal events that happen? Are all those movies, whatever it is, 1, 2, 3, where doors start moving on their own, are they real? Or are they just a figment of the imagination of someone who doesn't see things the same way we all do? So I'm going to attempt to answer that question now, right? I guess I would like to start by saying superstition is and isn't real. And paranormal activity, it is and isn't real. Every type of phenomenon that we don't understand because it can't be sensed with one of our five senses is automatically both real and not real at the same time until proven otherwise, right? So think about someone who has an adrenaline rush and deadlifts a car to save their kid. They weren't taking steroids for a few months, thinking that, alright, well, if something like this happens, I gotta be strong enough to lift up that car. No. It happened because they were in a state of mind where they needed that to be true in order for them to move forward in their lives in a state of reality that makes sense to them, right? In other words, when we experience something that we either don't agree with or one might consider wrong, there's what we call cognitive dissonance, right? So that's a psychological term for anything that happens or that you witness to happen not matching with any experience or thought that you previously believed to be true. So when we experience anything, whether it's superstitious or whether it's I don't know, something basic that just doesn't make sense, if there's a cognitive dissonance there, it is manifested as a form of anxiety that makes us uncomfortable because what we're consciously observing and what we subconsciously have stored in our previous memories is not matching. So the way we respond to something like that is feeling anxiety, right? So let's say someone has a general anxiety disorder, and this is a person that would be, they get anxiety, but they can't put a name to what exactly causes their anxiety. They just feel that feeling of anxiety. They know they're anxious. This happens usually when there's some kind of mismatch in harmony between what you believe subconsciously and what you believe, consciously. So basically, what your brain has stored without your conscious intention to store versus what you believe as you see it to be. So I understand that my explanations of this might be a little bit confusing. That's part of the reason why I end up talking so slow, because a lot of what I present to you guys, I have to really dig deep into what I've learned as a psychology student in college and what I've learned through my experiences, and put it all together to form a sentence that a conscious observer can listen to and understand. So there's a lot going on here when I try to explain these things. But anyway, continuing forward with superstitions. There's so many schools of thought about the way things are supposed to be. If you're living in the Western culture, United States, we have a very different philosophy on how things are supposed to be and how we naturally analyze things than individuals on, let's say, the Eastern side of the world analyze things, right? For example, on the Western end, we're more into medicinal treatment for psychiatric illnesses or different things we may be going through, whether physical or mental. Whereas on the Eastern side of the globe, they believe in a lot more of a holistic approach to things. They believe in prana, chakra energy, and how to properly align your chakra energy systems or vibrations in such a way that you are as healthy as you can be. So when it comes to deciding which side is right or wrong, that's not really something that could be decided because they both exist simultaneously, right? The best way I could describe that is take a magnet, right? There's a north side and a south side of a magnet. If you get the north and south side together, they attract and they link. If you take a north side of one magnet and the north side of another magnet, try to put it together, there's a force that separates the two because it's two opposing energies, right? So when we think about medicinal approaches to our personal problems and life issues versus a holistic approach, combine them together, you get that yin and yang, right? But if you only believe one to be true, it's going to be like trying to take two south sides of a magnet and expecting it to connect with one another. It won't happen. It's just the law of nature that no matter what we do, we can't control, right? And that's kind of where the whole thing with superstition comes in. You know, there's superstition that is based off of complete rubbish and is just a way to sell you on some idea so that you would get scammed into buying a product or service, whatever, right? So that exists, of course. Unfortunately, that exists a little bit more than not, but that's beyond the point. But then there's the superstition where we just don't want to accept certain things because accepting it means dealing with the emotional response of anxiety that our subconscious brings because we have been programmed to see things in a certain light, right? So if you were presented with a medicine to take to cure an illness or anything you have going on and you grew up in the West, you probably wouldn't question it too much. If a Western doctor went out to the East and the same person presented the same symptoms and he prescribed a medicine, that person may or may not freak out because they were not raised to believe that medicine is the way to solve our problems. So subconsciously, we have different views on how things are supposed to be. But this is the interesting part. When it comes to superstition and how things play out, the majority of the time, things are going to play out exactly the way you believe they are supposed to play out. And this is when we get into the whole laws of attraction, you know, if you believe it, you can achieve it type stuff, you know. If there is a strong emotional preference towards a certain result, you will naturally be able to get to where you want to be using that method. And it has nothing to do with that method being right or wrong. It just has to do with the fact that you genuinely believe with some sort of emotional intensity that this or that is or isn't true. And that's you know, kind of part of the law of attraction. What they don't really get into detail about is the whole how it actually does manifest, right? Because you can say positive things to yourself, for example, every day, and positive things never happen. At the same time, you can say negative things to yourself every day, and positive things do happen. And then you consider it luck, or, oh, this is coincidence. But really, whether positive or negative, it's a result of what you're programmed with in the innermost part of your mind. And that's something that a lot of times we aren't consciously aware of. So, back to superstition, it's not about believing in ghosts or, believing that. Sorry, I gotta move my cat because he'll turn the screen off. But, the same thing with the horoscope, right? If you're really passionate about horoscopes and you believe in that, it's more likely that the reading that you read is going to come out true than if you don't believe in it. So this leads me to a topic I'm going to get into much detail with in the future. It's one of the 7 Hermetic principles, which if you've ever studied anything like the Kabbalion or the Emerald Tablets, this is what they're basically referring to. And it's the first law of the Hermetic principle, which is called mentalism. And mentalism basically states that our universe is a manifestation of what's within our subconscious mind. So if you ever heard the expression, so above, so below, as within, so without, how you feel internally, and by that I mean subconscious, because we can think it's coming from the inside, but if we don't know the source that it's actually generating from by, gaining self-awareness and really doing the work to try to understand certain things about ourselves and really introspectively look at things, we're going to have a hard time grasping that concept. But it's that concept of mentalism why when you wake up every day, or, let's say you put your shoes on, I mean, you probably don't notice it, but I'm telling you, if there was a video of you putting your shoes on every time you left your house or apartment, whatever, 99.9% of the time you're putting the same shoe on first, whether it's the right or left foot. When you walk up a set of stairs, 99.9% of the time you're going to either use your right or left foot to start walking up the stairs. If you learned how to ride a bicycle when you were young, but haven't ridden one for 20 years, you get back on the bike, it'll take less than 20 minutes for you to feel comfortable riding that bike again. And it's not because you're consciously thinking about which muscle group goes where, and you gotta put your left torso 3 angles to the left, and you gotta make sure your right arm is 5 degrees to the right. You're not thinking about none of that. It's all automatic. But we are able to do it because we have already learned it. And the same holds true with No, what I was gonna say actually was if you want to prove that it's your subconscious that is controlling everything you do, there's something you could look up online, or I mean, if you're a handyman, you could do this yourself. Make your bicycle so that when you try to turn it to the left, it goes right, and when you try to turn it to the right, it goes left. Unless you practice that for a really long time, you are most likely not going to be able to get more than 2 feet away from where you started without toppling over. The thought of being able to do it is a lot easier to imagine than the actual ability to do it. And that's where the whole conscious subconscious mind differences comes to play. Mentalism. What's within you already will and can be manifested outside by either your unconscious or conscious will. But you will never manifest anything without it being something that is recognized by a conscious mental faculty. So I guess it's kind of where we could leave things off for now. Superstitious stuff, right? I used to believe that I don't know. I used to believe a lot of superstitious things, but as I started to realize how these thoughts are generated, eventually it became easier to kind of program my mind to be able to process things in the way that I want to. So, basically, superstitious or not, whether you believe in them or not, the goal of my channel is to help you all be able to harmonize those things that are subconscious with what is conscious. Because once you do that, there's one very crucial thing that you will be able to control that will allow you to manifest things at a rate so much faster than you could have ever imagined. That is the conquering and harnessing of your own emotions. I know this quote's from a movie, I think it's Act of Valor, and they say, there's nothing more dangerous than a man who can harness his emotions. And the reason that is because when our subconscious is in harmony with our present, what's going on now, conscious awareness, there is nothing to be afraid of because there is no cognitive dissonance to interfere with what your desire is to accomplish. You could be afraid of one thing on the surface, but completely have a different perspective of it on the inside. So, yeah, I'm going to continue making videos like this. This concept that I just referred to is known as mentalism. It's also combined a little bit with Hermetic law of correspondence, which has to do with above so below, but I'm more focused on mentalism and how what you truly believe on the inside, whether consciously aware or not, is what is going to be manifested on the outside. So, by practice and repetition, after getting the knowledge of knowing how this law of nature works, you'll see that you're able to take your whole self-improvement game to a level way beyond what most conventional people would have you believe. In other words, this is where you become the 1%. 1% of people that are able to get whatever they want by using the power within themselves and not searching endlessly for some external factor to be their go-to key of magic or whatever you want to call it. So anything you want to do is possible if it falls within the laws of nature. So no, please don't jump off the top of anything. Gravity still exists. I don't care how much you want to believe in that or not, it still exists. Unless you got a man, I can't even think right now. Unless you have a jetpack, don't try that. At least have a parachute, okay? Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy my content so far. Please leave comments below if you have any feedback for me. I'll be happy to, create videos according to what you guys want to hear and what you're interested in. If you have not done so already, definitely subscribe to my channel. It's fairly new, so the algorithm for finding this is kind of not set up to make it that easy to find unless you get a direct link. So it will definitely be helpful if you hit the like button and hit subscribe. And if you really want to know certain things as soon as I let them out there, hit that alert me button so you can know when I premiere a new video. So that's all I have for you guys tonight. Hope you enjoyed your Monday, and I will be in touch with you soon. And the whole thing with the mask, the headphones, and the hat, that's a subconscious thing too. But I'll get into that later. Have a good night, guys. Bye.